anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the #2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being #2. You're going to go down and become #4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education will tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were #2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become #4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America. Systemic racism that has plagued our nation for far, far too long. I said that over the course of the past year that the blinders have been taken off the nation, the American people. But what many Americans didn't see or had simply refused to see couldn't be ignored any longer. Those 8 minutes and 46 seconds that took George Floyd's life opened the eyes of millions of Americans and millions of people around all over the world. It was the knee on the neck of justice, and it wouldn't be forgotten. It's not white Americans' fault, but just a fact.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. If you believe in this number as I do and would like to join me in the fight for reparations, please email me at friendsofadostv@gmail.com. That's friendsofadostv@gmail.com.
Good afternoon on the West Coast. Good afternoon in the mountain. Good afternoon in the Central. Good afternoon on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the reparationist perspective, bringing you those ADOT's hot topics and making the case for reparations making the case for weaponizing our vote and socializing our suffering. And today, family, they absolutely are up to a lot of tricks when it comes to the execution of American descendants of chattel slavery by the white inferior race soldiers, family. Yes, this is unfreaking believable that we can literally pay tax dollars for the salaries of these race soldiers and not be privileged to what happened. Without redactions, without the court's participation in hiding the evidence of the sheer guilt of the execution of Mr. Brown that took place in his driveway while his hands were on the steering wheel. And we all know why. Because of the Chauvin verdict. These Mickey Thickies don't want to do the time after they do the crimes. They literally want to continue to execute us with impunity without the public, whose tax dollars pay their salaries, pay their pensions. We're not supposed to be privileged to that information. Is that not a blip? Family, I am mortified. So I'm looking a little crazy because I'm first time ever on the live with Instagram, trying to get the millennials and the Gen Zs up on the politics for our people specifically. And so I'm trying to make sure they can see me and make sure y'all can see me. The struggle is real. But I'm going to stay right here and do this show as effectively as I can under the circumstances, because we need, new people to get into this fight for the reparations that are very needed. So I don't want to belabor because I only have about an hour 10 with you on this segment. Oh, before I forget, hi, Brian. Nice to see you, my love. And to all of you who are on the live on Instagram, I welcome you and I thank you for joining my live. Instagram, this is new for you, but I am live on YouTube Monday through Thursdays for a 12 noon midday wake-up call report on current events. And then again at 6 p.m. for the anti-Black racism show. Since the lamestream media and the government want to continue in this benign neglect and weaponize what's happening to our people being executed by the race soldiers to give Asians protection, I decided, me and God, about the Ida B. Wells 2.0 series presents anti-Black racism. So that's how this is going to work. I come on twice a day. Now, today is special because I've been invited to be a guest. Hi, Brian's Corner. Hi, Saint Tiha. And Bambusa flies again. Is that my girl, Chrissy Bambusa? Anywho, I've been invited by Fox Soul to be a guest on the Black Report. Now, I'm still waiting for the link for that show, but if you don't get a link, jump over to Fox Soul's live broadcast of the Black Report at 6:30 p.m. So you will not see me over here at 6 o'clock with my anti-Black racism segment. We're going to pick that up again on tomorrow evening, since that time is going to be preoccupied. Now, that's not at 6:30. My apologies. It's at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time, 5:30 Mountain, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Fox Soul's The Black Report. I'm no 1111. It's time to expose the racist elites who've been running the government and judicial system for decades. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is what the reparationist perspective in all of new Black media is here to do. But as many of you know, Racebook disabled my account without rhyme or reason. They have been on me since I joined the reparationist movement a couple of years ago with the other grassroots throughout the nation. Instagram, forgive me for not looking directly onto y'all, but if I look this way, I can't. So until we get money for this show, it is what it is. Y'all can catch me live looking into the camera on YouTube at the Reparationist Perspective if you choose to. If this doesn't bother you, stay put and let's have a good time. But they're able to chat over here too because of the StreamYard app. But anywho, Facebook disabled me for telling it like a TI is. No rhyme, no reason. They don't need to give you one. So they started censoring the movement when I joined a couple years ago, when I formed it. I helped to form the reparationist movement. To many of you who are new to the show, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I am a founding member of the reparationist movement. Okay? Proud. Because I understand the data. I understand that the national median home price is $340,000, while Asians, whom Biden pivoted to give protections to, because 68% of their assaults since COVID is verbal. We've been under a 400-plus year Holocaust, but Biden weaponizes what happened to George Floyd to pivot to give Asians protection, to try to silence Black life even mattering. He knows full well, based on the FBI 2016 report that stated over a 10-year investigation from 2006, that they have hired the KKK, the neo-Nazis, and the skinheads as part of the police force. You understand what I'm telling you? Biden knows this as the author of the 94 crime bill. 87% of our electorate raced out to vote. They thought it was more sound to replace an racist in office of 4 years with racist in office plural, a combined 65 years. You must remember, because I know we got short memories, Kamala Harris was fourth in her own race out here in California. She had to drop out. So the only way the Democrats won with Biden-Harris was to co-opt the primary from Bernie Sanders with the help of Jim Clyburn and Barack Obama. They were complicit in sabotaging the election for Bernie Sanders. He was whooping on that A for 3 states straight. And they had to collude in the Carolinas with Clyburn's assistance to give it to Biden, because he was not winning on his own, because he's the author of the 94 crime bill. And the only way to execute on the weaponization of immigration against ADOX, to make us fourth-class citizens in the country our ancestors built with their lives, and to dig in, denying us our justice claim in the trillions over multi-generations, was to use someone that looked like us, who went to the HBCU and knows how to ski weed. They are still on that identity and respectability politics, and it's on us to stop it. And we're not doing a very good job. 65% of us showed up for Obama for 2 terms. 87% of our people showed up and voted these 2 racists in office. And you say, well, how can she be racist? Because she looks like you. Yes, she is racist. There's a lot of black, white supremacists running around here giving Asians protection. Biden gave the Asians $80.5 million AAPI, okay? And they gave $30.2 billion more dollars to the Indians, who also enslaved us. The Cherokee, the black descendants of Cherokee and Seminole slavery, have not received a dime of reparations. The Cherokee just allowed them to identify as Cherokee. These are the descendants of slavery that were birthed by them smashing our women. Okay, when they would be on these slave patrols, this was the reward they sometimes got. Us as slaves, they got to keep us as their slaves. And what did they do with the 1866 reparations that was given to the Indians? They gave it to white folks for $5. Can you say the dolls rose? That's what happened. So the Black Cherokee and Seminole Indians have been fighting since 1866 for the reparations that the Indians and the white folks benefited from, family. It's the same thing they did to us. Lincoln gave us the 40 acres and a mule. Johnson, he was executed. Then Johnson took that and gave it to white immigrants, and white slave owners got paid the reparations after they lost the war. They got paid reparations, and yet Biden is on a spending spree. Yes, I'm going to be talking about this at 4:30 on the very national show, Fox Soul, The Black Report. So you want to tune in, okay? I'm going to be talking about how Biden has neglected the American descendants of chattel slavery who delivered him the White House in his first 100 days. The first protection was transgender, day one. Now, what percentage of ADOCs is transgender? What percentage is transgender at large in the whole entire LGBTQIA community? That was his first protection. Then he weaponized the execution of Mr. George Floyd to give Asians protection instead of making an executive order of the anti-lynch bill that we've been trying to procure for over 200 years. And so the beat goes on with the white inferior glacier donkey race soldiers annihilating us with impunity. Thanks to the Biden administration, who gave $80.5 million to Asians who are a median net worth of $87,000. I'm sorry, median net income. Their median net worth is around $450,000. Our median net worth nationally is around $1,700 if you include the family car. We build all the wealth these Mickey Thickies eat from, and we are the anchor of this country's capitalism, continuing in this madness to vote blue no matter damn who. Now, I'm not one of those that don't believe we don't need to show up to the polls. That is a lie. But we need to weaponize the only commodity we've got, which is the vote. When you're a wealthless group, the only commodity you've got is your black vote. And that's about to not matter anymore, family. Biden and Kamala got plans to bring in 22 million more immigrants on top of 70 million that are already here. Hi, Dr. Broad. Thank you for joining the live. I'm actually live on YouTube and Instagram. So I'm looking over here. Forgive me. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that they're going to bring in more immigration. Now, who does immigration crush? We've got 70 million immigrants here. They've got designs to bring in 22 million more, while telling us no to reparations as the bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Biden is spending about 141 million per week to bring in 26,000 migrant children per month, okay, as they deport Haitian children back to Port-au-Prince on charter planes. So these aren't black migrant children that they're trying to help. These are migrant children that they've made white in this country. They've made the Irish white. They made the Italians white. They made the Jews white. They've made the Asians white. Okay? All that money while telling us they don't have money for our reparations. So let's just pocket watch a minute before I get into my articles in today's show. 80.5 million to Asians with a median national income of $87,000 to white folks, $65,000 to ADOCs, $41,000, and a median national home price of $340,000 and climbing. Biden gave the Asians protection. The Senate just passed it. We're going to talk about it. He gave the Asians protection and 80.5 million for their COVID relief, for their anti-Asian biases and racism. They've only got hell since COVID a year ago. We've been under a 400+ year Holocaust, but he gives them $80.5 million to fight anti-Asian racism, to fight COVID. How are you struggling with COVID and you have a median national income of $87,000? We're the ones dying disproportionate from COVID. But he takes $80.5 million for their domestic violence, for their COVID relief, and for their anti-Asian racism. Has not done a darn thing for ADOX, who delivered him that White House, 87% of our electorate. Then he gave $30.2 billion additional dollars on top of the billions Trump gave the Indians, who've already gotten reparations from 1866. Okay. I'm going to bring up another story about the Japanese who got $20,000 and now want more money. They'll get it. Okay. So he did that. $80.5 million to the Asians, $30.2 billion to the Indians, who will not include descendants of Cherokee and Seminole Indian slavery. They've yet to receive a dime of those reparations. The Cherokee just gave the descendants of slavery from their tribe access to identify as Cherokee so they can be included in these benefits. It's unconscionable. Now the illegals in New York are getting $15,600 maximum for the COVID. Me and my reparationist movement have tried to pass COVID relief for ADOX, who are dying disproportionately from the COVID because they're on the bottom financially, the highest rates of unemployment and underemployment. That was shot down. We tried to get an Economic Recovery Act done in the first 100 days, never heard back. And we got a CDC that's not fighting for the very people, ADOX, who put them in office. So we get to eat the cost of slavery under this administration. It is a nightmare. And this is why I'm imploring upon us to stop this trifecta of either party. Let me help you with something. The third parties don't have a chance. Let them continue to try to build under this false illusion of inclusion. But I'm here to tell you, if the Democrats can co-opt an entire primary from Bernie Sanders to give it to Biden and Kamala, they're capable of hiding votes and being just as nefarious as the Republicans. What I'm recommending we do, and you need to meditate on it, don't get mad, but we've got to do something now before we become extinct. There is an ethnic cleansing going on with ADOX in this country, and a serious benign neglect by the government. Why is that? Because the government, like the police department, is full of KKK on both sides of the aisle. Don't think that just because the Democrats are overt with their racism, that they're not racist nonetheless. Y'all better stop that. Y'all better stop it. We are at George Floyd, 9 minutes, 29 seconds. It's time for everybody to wake up. And so I'm on my square teaching what Dr. Charles Morris, pastor of Abyssinian Church, taught, not very effectively because the people paid no attention, or we wouldn't be at George Floyd, 9 minutes, 29 seconds on the neck by the white inferior race soldier, Glacier Donkey Chauvin. Okay? If we had listened to Dr. Charles Morris, we could have had a lot more leverage. Now, when we were Republicans, we delivered Teddy Roosevelt that White House. As soon as we gave him the vote, what did he do? Something akin to Biden, only slightly worse. He dishonorably discharged 167 Buffalo soldiers who were wrongfully accused of murdering a second white man after being quarantined in their barracks for being wrongfully accused of murdering the first. Dr. Charles Morris said, "You shot us when our guns were empty. And for that, we're going to return the same by voting a blue top of the ticket and a red Congress to protect the Black South." So in other words, what's up, American DOS? Thank you, 123, for joining. I love you guys. Black is strong. Listen, family. He suggested they give a mixed bag of political ideologies. Had we implemented that strategy back in the gap, we would not be here at George Floyd 9 minutes and 29 seconds to the neck. And more than likely, we would have gotten our reparations in the trillions over multi-generations. Okay? We chose to ignore that strategy. And here we are. Hi, Tamara Johnson, Shealy, Congresswoman. Thank you for joining the live. Let me explain something to y'all. I'm going to be on Tamara's show on Saturday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Central, and 11 a.m. Eastern. Lord, y'all, I'm looking at two cameras, so forgive. I've got my YouTube live on at the same time I came on Instagram live for the first time ever, trying new things to grow the message of reparations, grow the movement, grow the support. Now, what I am imploring upon us to do as Democrats, predominantly, not me, I'm independent, but I'm asking 87% of our electorate to just chew on this because we are out of time. You must chew on this to give a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress. I know what y'all gonna say because the mainstream media, corporate with 3 Ks, has convinced you that Trump's racism is more egregious than Biden's. That is a lie. You have been totally forgotten. 100 days are up. Kamala told you on the campaign trail day one, I'm not doing anything specifically for you. Your ancestors having built the country with their lives, be damned. Hi, Jerome Walters, 23. Thank you for joining the live. Okay, I'm looking at two cameras, so forgive me. I got my YouTube live, and I'm trying to get more of you guys involved in this reparationist movement fight. Kamala told y'all, American DOS 123. Yes, indeed, I am correct. And I lost my train of thought. I talk so much, and I'm trying to look and take care of everybody. So let me focus. Guys, forgive me, but I'm looking at this other camera. I'm not set up to, like, do everything at one time. It's just me, a one-woman show. Okay? Anywho, I'm asking upon you guys to deliver a mixed bag. We are out of time. I'm asking you to vote red top of the ticket. I'm telling you right now, Trump. Now, let me tell you, we're talking about, hi, Lisa K, Lisa M. K. Gay. Thank you for joining the live. Okay, I'm here to tell you that we're really out of time. This may be the only election cycle we can turn this Titanic around. But a trifecta of either party is getting us assassinated all throughout the country. Now, I know y'all want to say, but Trump, he said this, he said that, he tweeted this. I want to ask you to weigh what is worse, Trump's mean words and his overt racism, or the covert racism of a democratic liberal party that's weaponizing immigration against us to make us eat the cost of slavery. Did your mom ever teach you? Who can we support that supports ADOX? Well, this is why I created Tamara Johnson Shealy is in the live right now with you asking that very question. Lisa M.K. Gay, the goal of the Equity Advocates PAC that was shot down by Yvette Carnell was designed to aggregate dollars to get our candidates, our full-chested cash reparationists, like Congresswoman, soon to be, Tamara, I'm speaking it into existence, Tamara Johnson Shealy, into that Congress. This doesn't change, family, and that's why I'm telling you, the only commodity you've got to meditate on this, family. You've got to make a decision right now. Do you want our extinction under this ethnic cleansing that's happening under the Democrats, who aren't doing a damn thing to give us the protections we're long overdue? They're pivoting instead to protect everyone else? Or do you want the survival of ADOX and your check in the trillions over multi-generations? What the reparationist movement needs is time to replace the lanes in the CBC who are sitting up here talking about no cash repair, as Biden has just given $80.5 million to the Asians for COVID, domestic violence amongst their people, and to fight anti-Asian racist sentiment that they've had to endure, 68% of which are verbal assaults. Since COVID, we've been enduring a 400-plus year Holocaust because the race soldiers have infiltrated all throughout the country. I'm labeled a Black identity extremist. Facebook disables my account. And yet we can't get a label for the domestic terrorist that the KKK is and has been since we were dragged over here in chains. I'm asking you to vote red, top of the ticket, because at least Trump would not have been as quick to replace us with immigrants. When he was giving white folks protections, we by default were being protected. Do you understand that these immigrants are able to weaponize our affirmative action to get gainful employment in the country our ancestors built with their lives? Do you understand our affirmative action benefits white women first, immigrants second, and LGBTQIA third? That means when you show up for the interview, they don't and won't hire you. They are not hiring us. You've got white high school dropouts more gainfully employed than black degreed ADOX. You've got black immigrants making significantly more money in this country than you have ADOX, American descendants of chattel slavery. And that's why we're fighting for our own ethnic identification. Here in California, the ethnicity bill labels us Black American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery or something like that. We're trying to be called that so that we can unflatten blackness because of the $3 trillion we used to share in household dollars as compared to white folks' $100 trillion that they killed and stole from ADOX. Only 10% share in $2.3 trillion of that. That's not the bulk of us. The bulk of us, 90% of the blacks in this country are ADOX, share less than $700 billion since COVID. They're lying to you when they tell you you have $1 trillion worth of spending power. You're not even worth, you don't even share $1 trillion in household dollars between you as 90% of the blacks in your country that your ancestors built. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Your money is being used to survive. Anything you have of real value is on credit. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Y'all got to stop this Titanic and turn it around. We are going to have to be the reparations for our people. We're going to have to move them in. They're the ones that's losing everything. Under Obama, he created 1 million white millionaires during his tenure, while over 53% of ADOX lost all of their wealth, the only asset they had to pass on to their children, their homes, when he bailed out corporate. That is what happened to us. This pandemic is wiping the rest of us off the map, off the monopoly board. You've got to wake up and deliver a red top of the ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 53% of ADOCs who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism. You must do it, or your people are going to perish. Hi, LaRon Z, the one. Oh, I love you. I owe you a call. Oh, you see me. I'm fighting for our people's very survival. Forgive me if I don't return your calls timely. Okay, so that's enough of my rant. I'm at 12:35. Have to race my track star to practice at 1:15. So keep your comments coming, and I will read them if I have a window at the end. Otherwise, be sure to catch me on Fox Soul's The Black Report at 4:30 Pacific, 5:30 Mountain, 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. Let's jump into what happened. Now, this is breaking news, family. North Carolina judge declines to release the body cam footage to media in the Andrew Brown, it says death, I say execution. God bless you too, my love. Thank you for that. And thank you for all the sugar on the Instagram. I see you, family. I see you, and I'm grateful to you for coming over here to hear me advocate for ADOCs. Somebody must. They don't like it when they want us to continue to care about everybody else. I am about my people. So if you came over here for me to cry over the kids at the border, this ain't your show. I'm crying for my own damn children in my community, in my culture, with my people. I ain't got no more tears left. Sorry. They don't give a damn about our tears. I can't give a damn about theirs. I hate to be that way, but it is what it is. Let's jump in. So, family, I'm still here. I'm just over here reading the article. So, period. And I got comments in between. As per usual, I'm going to tell you the way I see it. Now, off the bat, this needs to be appealed to the highest court in the land. How in the world do our tax dollars pay the salaries of these white inferior race soldiers who, oh, by the way, are protected by qualified immunity? Hardly any of them get convicted once they execute us. As a matter of fact, I shared on yesterday's show, the anti-Black racism show, yesterday evening. Look up the archives, YouTube, under the Reparations perspective. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. If you feel like giving, I'm passing the plate with this banner. I can use your support at Cash App, $FOADOS TV, $FOADOS TV. Your support enables me to educate the masses and to advocate for ADOCs, reparations in the trillions over multi-generations, and other goodies that we're fighting vigilantly for. So thank you for all your support. Okay, back to the text. Now, like I was saying, how in the world do we pay tax dollars to these race soldiers who execute us? Then we have to pay their civil lawsuits. And now North Carolina's got the unmitigated gall to have a law where you literally have to petition the courts to get access to the tape of them executing us when we pay them to protect and serve us. So we're just paying on every front, and we all know why. They're mad about the verdict for Chauvin. They're mad about the verdict for Chauvin. We haven't even gotten a sentence yet. You understand what I'm telling you? We don't even know what this week. Well, I'm praying. See, let me help you understand. I got a few of my Christian soldiers and angels over here in Instagram for my church. We are New Thought Christians. It's a whole different Oprah than traditional, conventional fundamentals. We understand that God rested in us on the seventh day and named us the best of all creation, okay? So can't nobody tell us how great thou art within each of us. That's why I tell y'all at the end of every show, You are the face of God, the voice of God, the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. So my prayer was answered. While all the naysayers were like, he's not even going to get a conviction. Me and my Christ, okay, I don't know about you and yours. Me and my inner Christ decided he would be convicted on all three accounts. So the way I see it, I'm still in prayer mode that he'll get a combined sentencing, the maximum sentencing on all three of those charges, to the tune of a summary of 75 years consecutively served, back to back to back. So me and God are a majority. I don't know about you and your God, but me and God are a majority. Y'all don't even understand. Y'all don't even understand the God. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. That's why you over here. Y'all know y'all understand where I'm coming from, okay? Anywho, so I need for all like minds and spirit to get on one accord that this man gets the max sentence on every charge. And the God within each of us is going to connect with the God in Cahill to get that accomplished. Because that's exactly who I spoke to. The God in each of those jurors. And honey, God was immediate in that delivery. You hear me? The next day. And the prosecution put on a heck of a case. And I'm here to tell you, God put every angel and expert as bearing witness. God knows they're traumatized as the bystanders. They were compliant. See, because I don't know that I would not have jumped all over Chauvin's back. I can't promise. Now, I have put myself square in the midst of 20 race soldiers on the back of a homeless man that was 100 pounds soaking wet. Yes, I did. I was headed over to a Stevie Wonderful concert in the city of LA. And I was driving with my daughter and her little sister friend. And I saw the race soldiers. And I saw a brown person. He could have been immigrant. I don't know. It was at that time I chose to exercise some identity politics. I was dressed to the nine for the Stevie Wonderful concert. I parked my convertible, and God had this lovely bench sitting outside of whatever building it was. It looked like a church. I don't even know. I had a one-track mind. My biggest regret was I didn't crack the windows for my babies, but I locked them in the car. You know when God moves on you, you just got to move. Okay? You just got to move. So God moved on me, and it was like I was in a trance. I went over and sat my well-dressed, well-educated, well-spoken behind right on that bench as bystanders, one of which was a lawyer, were just watching the police kneeing this man in the back, in the prone position, the kind that killed George Floyd. I got to talking. The God in me got to speaking. I can't even recall all of what I said. But I looked at that brother in the eye. I said, I see you. And I was like the Mr. Williams. I wasn't as wicked. He was kind of mean with his. Like George Floyd wasn't ready to comply. That wasn't me. I said, brother, I need you to help us get up out of this piece alive. I got my kids in the car. We're headed to a Stevie Wonderful concert. I'm paraphrasing, but how soulful steps, JBO? I'm paraphrasing. Jamie, you remember this? When I sat in the middle of them race soldiers on that homeless man's back. So she can testify. She over here in the Instagram, y'all. I told that brother in his eyes, and you could tell he was a good-looking brother, but for the oppressive institutional systemic racism that caught up and has caught up with many of our homeless. I said, brother, I'm going to need you because they're making the excuse that you wilding out. Now, there's 20 of them, one on your back in a prone position. So I'm real clear who the problem is here. You look like about 100 pounds soaking wet, and I'm talking to him, but I'm letting them know. I said, you got to stop moving because they're using it as an excuse to take your life right now. Now, I need to get out of here alive. We both do. Now, please don't have me leave my kids in the car down the block, and don't have that be in vain and we both be executed right now. You've got to stop moving. And he's going to take his knee up off your back. Right, officer? He said, yeah. That brother stopped moving. The officer took his knee up off his back. And I said, those handcuffs look extremely tight. Where is the ambulance? Because I could tell he had a mental break. He probably wasn't doing nothing. They said he was a danger to himself. How? Just being black and homeless was enough for them. And they said, we got up. And I said, and I'm here till an ambulance arrives. I told that brother, I'm not leaving. Stay with me. I'm not leaving till you're safely and securely on that gurney up out of here. Trust and believe me. I'm not going anywhere. And the lawyer, some Asian woman, I'm a lawyer. I've been watching the whole thing. I said, well, why didn't you do anything about it since you're a lawyer? Why did you tell these race soldiers to get up off this man's back? He is no threat. He has no weapons. He don't even have on no drawers. Now, I'm not asking any of y'all to try this at home. But I'm grateful to the bystanders who stood. See, that's why I don't know. I don't know that I would not have jumped on Chauvin and have been executed. I don't know what energy would have taken over me because I was possessed in the spirit. And I let God use me in that instance. Don't try it at home. It's very dangerous these days. They just give them a reason. But when that gurney came and took that homeless man up out of there, I left as smoothly as I arrived. While they were attempting to get him on the gurney, I made a disappearing act. I went to the car and helped my kids dry their eyes. And we went on to the Stevie Wonderful concert. Okay? And had an amazing time. So I thank you, bystanders, because God knew who to place at that scene. And they were amazing angels surrounding George Floyd for such a time as guilty on all three charges. Anywho, back to the text. Y'all know I was born to talk. I got about 30 minutes. Okay. Superior Court Judge Jeff Foster declined Wednesday to release to the media the body camera footage of the shooting and killing of Andrew Brown Jr. by Pasquanatock County Sheriff's deputies last week. The judge heard arguments from lawyers for county officials and media who petitioned for the release of the footage at the Pasquanatock County Courthouse. Brown, 42, was shot and killed in his car outside his home in Elizabeth City a week ago as deputies were serving search and arrest warrants related to felony drug charges. Okay. It happened less than 24 hours after Derek Chauvin, a former Minneapolis race soldier, me speaking, was convicted of the murder of Mr. George Floyd, an unarmed black man. Now, I read to y'all yesterday how NPR said, I want to say since 2019, there have been 135 unarmed black men executed by the race soldiers and women. The shooting has spurred nightly protests in Elizabeth City where hundreds of people have demanded footage of the incident be made public. Like I said, we pay their salaries, we pay their civil suits, so we pay them twice to execute us, and we can't even get access to the body cam footage. In court today, Mike Cox, attorney for Pasquanatock County and its sheriff's office, said the sheriff's office wants to release the video to the family and the news media in accordance with the law. It's a messed up law that the governor, which I don't understand why he has no power. If the governor says decimate the law, why is it still on the books? Why is it still a law? He don't have that kind of power. I don't understand. Why are you being elected? And what you say about it don't hold water. Back to the text. While the body cam footage only shows one perspective for a limited period of time, it might give the public some ability to understand what happened that day, Cox said. Okay. Cox said the release of the footage will not impede the independent investigations by the FBI, North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation in this case. But Pasquanatock County DA, I told you they all work together. Andrew Womble argued against the full and immediate release of the body cam footage. He said there's a compelling public interest for accountability, but the release would hinder a fair trial. So you get to unfairly execute an unarmed man in his vehicle with his hands on the steering wheel. But the release of what you did hinders a fair trial. Okay. It risks the safety of the deputies and affect active investigations. So, we've been executed by the race soldiers since the slave patrols. Have we ever taken the life of one of the race soldiers and executed us? Can somebody put that in the chat? I really don't know. Help a sister out. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Help me. But he's sitting up and acting as if it's going to impede, risk the safety of the deputies. You mean risk the protections of the deputies? Doesn't affect active investigations. You're either guilty of executing an unarmed black man or you're not. And from all the evidence, you're guilty of executing an unarmed black man. Again, Wombo, who would be the one to bring criminal charges in this case, said the footage should be released as evidence if and when there's a criminal trial. If? What do you mean? Wombo asked that the judge who has watched the footage disclose any portion that he deems appropriate to Andrew Brown's family when practicable, and with any redactions necessary. Why are you, listen, they put our face out there immediately, no matter even what your age is. But you want to hide the faces of the race soldiers who executed Mr. Brown? His own family can't even see their faces. I'm hearing it so blurred you can't make sense of it. One of my comrades sent it to me. I haven't looked at it. I don't believe in traumatizing myself. I can't watch. I'm done with watching trauma porn. I'm not trying to trauma bond with my people. I just tell the facts here, okay? Because we've got enough trauma. George Floyd was enough. I can't do it anymore. So I haven't seen it. I'm not even going to watch it. I'm not going to share with y'all. That's not what I'm into over here. He argued, okay, the video should be released to the family in 30 days, a whole entire month after the FBI has completed its investigation. Wamba would then want to have the footage released in open court at a jury trial after charges have been brought. If no charges are brought, he said, he would release the video at a press conference where he explains that decision. Family, all my prayer angels and warriors and soldiers, y'all need to get to appealing. Have your Christ light meet up with whoever's making these decisions, Christ light, for charges to be brought against these race soldiers, all of them. A few of them have resigned, one retired. There were about 10 officers for a warrant of Mr. Brown. No gun, no drugs were found. Okay? 10 race soldiers. I think 2 resigned, 7 are getting paid time off, and 1 retired. Quote, I want your honor to give me an opportunity to complete this investigation, or the FBI to complete this investigation. Let me review it, make my decision, Wombo said. And then everyone can Monday morning quarterback me. 10 cops for 1 person. That's right, LaRon. Okay. H.P. Williams, an attorney on behalf of unnamed clients, also argued against the release of the footage. But he said he would not oppose disclosure of the video to the family as long as faces of the officers involved are redacted so they cannot be identified. Quote, the officers are very distraught over what happened. You can take white mass murderers alive, but you're executing unarmed black men and women and children with impunity. But you feel bad about it? You're distraught? I'm confused. They feel for the family of Andrew Brown, Williams said. But as Mr. Womble described to you, we believe that the shooting was justified. This is the same thing that happened, family, with Chauvin. Of the 22 complaints in his 19 years, 8 were practiced for the kill choke. That's what they're doing. They're continuing to keep these race soldiers on the force by calling this justified. How is shooting a man 4 times in the arm, blocking him into the driveway, coming out guns a-blazing, with his hands on the steering wheel? He tries to escape for his life, and you shoot him in the back of the head. That's justified for an unarmed black man that posed no threat to you? Advocating for transparency. Speaking for a group of state and national media organizations, Mike Tadich argued that the footage needs to be released to help bring facts to a subject that has generated much speculation and rumor. They're trying to get their stories together, family. They are seeking the release of the recordings of the incident involving Brown from the time they began to the time of the protests that followed that night. Tadich also highlighted the national discussion ongoing about police accountability issues as a reason to release the footage. CO, welcome to the live, my love. The petitioners, I'm coming back over YouTube. Just a second. I can see the Instagram scroll when people join and when they comment. The petitioners are not here. I haven't forgotten my YouTube. I love y'all, Black and Strong on both sides. I'm trying something new here to reach more people in this fight, okay? The petitioners are not here to indict or vindicate law enforcement, and they are not here to indict or vindicate Mr. Brown, Tadich said. They are here in the interest of advocating for transparency in the hopes of aiding the national conversation we find ourselves in about citizens' interaction with the police. Andrew Brown's family and its lawyers and supporters arrived at the courthouse at 9:45 this morning, lined up outside under the cover of old trees. Brown's 92-year-old grandmother. Do you hear me? 92-year-old Granny Lydia Brown was the first to enter the courthouse, pushed on a wheelchair. A crowd of approximately 50 media members, meanwhile, gathered outside, some waiting to gain entry themselves. The hearing was scheduled to begin at 10 a.m., but was delayed. The members of the media remained outside as the hearing began. Family's lawyers say this was an execution. Chantel Cherry Lassiter, an Elizabeth City attorney representing Brown's family, saw a 20-second snippet of the video on Monday with Brown's son Khalil Farabee and Farabee's mother. Lassiter said the video showed Brown was shot multiple times while he sat in his vehicle with his hands on the steering wheel. They called the shooting an execution because that's what it was. At a news conference Tuesday, Farabee said the private autopsy commissioned by the family and attorneys confirmed that. Did you hear me? The private autopsy commissioned by the family and attorneys confirmed it was an execution. The autopsy showed Brown was shot 5 times with a fatal bullet wound to the back of his head. Okay, I know this is supposed to be the midday wake-up call, but this has turned into the Ida B. Wells 2.0 series on anti-Black racism. It's a combined segment, family. It was breaking news. I have to go here. We'll carry over the rest of the topics to tomorrow because I've got to do this, and I'm going to try to squeeze in Amber Geiger asking for an appeal. Let me finish this article so I can move on to that and get you guys out of here. We'll do the rest tomorrow. I'll rebook the show. They called the shooting an execution. At a news conference Tuesday, Farabee said the private autopsy. Okay, I read that part. Brown was shot 5 times with a fatal bullet wound to the back of his head. The body-worn camera footage has not yet been released publicly, despite pressure from lawmakers, civil rights leaders, and hundreds of protesters. They're also asking officials to release footage from a street camera near Brown's house and a dash camera in a police van. North Carolina law does not allow law enforcement agencies to release officers' body camera footage. That's up to a judge, which is why there was a court hearing. This isn't. On Tuesday, Elizabeth, I'm trying not to be emotional, y'all. It's very difficult. Namyeho Renge Kyo. On Tuesday, Elizabeth City shared a... Why? 5 times in the back of the head. Good God. No, he was shot 4 times in the arm. He tried to get away to save his life. That's when they shot a single shot to the back of his head. And then tried to administer CPR. How? Wasn't his brains completely thrown out? I don't understand. Anywho, the camera, which is mounted on a utility pole along Brown Street, captures the moments before Brown was shot and killed. The black pickup truck turns towards the driveway, and deputies jump out of the truck bed yelling, "Get your hands up," the video shows. After seeing that footage, attorneys for Brown's family said in a statement, Brown was brought down by an inflamed modern-day lynch mob. The footage shows an eerie resemblance to what we saw in Ahmaud Arbery's modern-day lynching, except these were no vigilantes. These murderers were on the clock as law enforcement, me speaking, paid with our tax dollars. They hope the body camera footage will help hold the officers responsible for Brown's death accountable. Y'all know what you've got to do. Your inner Christ, your inner Buddha, whatever you want to call it, Allah, whatever you want to call it, need to line up with the decision makers who are deciding on this investigation to bring charges against every last one of them, even the ones retired and who resigned. Okay, so let's talk about Amber Geiger with the last 15 minutes I have left. Let me go over here to, make sure everybody's okay. They got comments over here. Let's read what they're saying about it. Babe Rox, I see you, my love. Thank you for joining the live. You guys be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. I've been disabled by Facebook. I lost 4,500 friends, family, and subscribers and followers. So they don't get to see the show unless you share it and make it go viral. Okay, I need your help. Rebuilding. I really do. Okay, so let's see. Brian says they simply don't want another Chauvin verdict. Even the Minnesota AG was surprised by the guilty verdict, said he felt bad for him. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Fix it, Black Jesus. That's all I can say to that. Notice the difference between police recordings versus civilian recordings. 20 seconds versus 9 minutes, 29 seconds. Brian C. Johnson says, it's a nightmare. Proud of you, Chocolatey Princess. Thank you, my love. You know me. I might be down, but I'll never out. I won't be silent. We need people on both sides, both left and right, who are outspoken supporters of ADOX. I'm no 11. You're absolutely right. What's up, Satra Delvery 360? I see you, fam. Thank you for joining the live. And thank you for all of you who are still on the live and have yet to chat where you're slinging bricks. Okay. Instagram, they're reconnecting. We're sorry the live ended. Okay, well, let me try it again. They're checking my connection. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know where the live ended over there, but let's keep going. Okay. I think they said I had a weak connection. We're telling your followers that you started a live video. Okay. I don't know what's going on. Ex-Dallas officer who killed, they said neighbor. The neighbor, Botham John, appeals guilty verdict. A panel of 3 Texas appeals court judges appeared skeptical Tuesday of arguments to overturn the conviction of a former Dallas police officer who was sentenced to prison for fatally shooting her neighbor in his home. An attorney for Amber Geiger clashed with the Dallas County prosecutor over whether the evidence was sufficient to prove that her 2018 shooting of Botham John was murder. It was absolutely murder. Oh, my God. These race soldiers just won't stop. The unmitigated goal to want an appeal of her guilty verdict. The hearing examined a Dallas County. Let me see. Hold on, guys. The hearing examined the Dallas County jury's 2019 decision to sentence Geiger to 10 years in prison for murder. It follows a recent conviction of a former Minneapolis police officer who was found guilty of murdering George Floyd, again focusing national attention on police killings and racial injustice. It's only been 400 plus years. Geiger, 32, did not appear in court Tuesday, and then panel seemed to doubt the arguments presented by her lawyer. The judges will hand down a decision at an unspecified later date. This chick better not get an appeal. More than 2 years before Floyd's death set off protests across the country, Geiger's killing of John drew national attention because of the strange circumstances and because it was one in a string of shootings of black men by white police officers. The basic facts of the case are not in dispute. Geiger, returning home from a long shift, mistook John's apartment for her own, which was on the floor directly below his. Finding the door ajar, she entered and shot him, later testifying that she thought he was a burglar. He had a red doormat. She don't know that her house don't have a red doormat in front of it. I digress. Jean, a 26-year-old accountant, had been eating a bowl of ice cream before Geiger shot him. She was later fired from the Dallas Police Department. Y'all know how long that took, right? Y'all know how long it took them to fire her. Geiger's appeal hangs on the contention that her mistaking John's apartment for her own was reasonable. And therefore, so too was the shooting. Don't this sound like Chauvin's defense attorney trying to make the execution of him his fault? The bystander's fault? The paramedic's fault? The carbon monoxide that may or may not have been emitting from the car's fault? They'll stop at nothing to make us guilty of our own executions. It's unconscionable. Oh, let me breathe. Her lawyer has asked the appeals court to acquit her of murder or to substitute in a conviction for criminally negligent homicide, which carries a lesser sentence, lesser than 10 years. Attorney Michael Malla insisted Tuesday that Geiger did not have evil intent. So the race soldier, Kim Potter, 26 years on the force, pulls out her gun and executes Mr. Dante Wright, 20-year-old, while screaming, "Taser, taser, taser." 26 years on the force, with rookies observing what she's doing. Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. He was shocked at a conviction, with rookies on the scene giving him protection as he executed Mr. Floyd. And you're trying to tell me that Geiger, just like these two white inferior race soldiers, wasn't in training or trying to get initiated into the police gang within the police department, and now claiming it was an accident, a mistake. You don't believe she was groomed to do that in the way Chauvin was grooming the race soldier rookies that were with him, in the same way Potter was grooming the race soldier rookie that was with her? They are teaching these rookies how to get away with murder. We don't get many convictions. And now that we've got one, she wants an appeal. They're doing this under the auspice of an accident and like they didn't know better. Back to the text. Attorney Michael Malla insisted Tuesday that Geiger did not have evil intent. Oh, yes, she did. She was in training. A Dallas County prosecutor countered that her error was not reasonable and that she acknowledged intending to kill Jean. Murder is a result-oriented offense, prosecutors wrote in a filing. The judge appeared dubious of Malla's arguments, peppering him with questions and suggesting he was erroneously blending self-defense and mistake of fact claims. At one point, Chief Justice Robert Burns told Malla that a precedent he raised in Geiger's defense actually supported her conviction. Another judge praised the style of prosecutors' written argument, calling it pleasing on the eyes. John's mother, Allison Jean, told the Dallas Morning News that the appeal has delayed her family's healing. Quote, I know everyone has a right of appeal, and I believe she's utilizing that right, Jean said. But on the other hand, there is one person who cannot utilize any more rights because she took him away. Thank God she's not, talking all this forgiveness, let her free. Thank God for that. As she's tucked away on an island. Y'all remember the hug fest by the judge, the very black judge, the very ADOX black judge, and Botham Jean's brother of forgiveness, which is probably why the judge went light on her sentence. I don't know what the charge was or what the maximum sentence that carried the charge, but she got 10 years for executing a man in cold blood in his home. You ain't ever that damn tired. This was an initiation. Oh, here we go. It says it right here in the article. Geiger could have been sentenced to up to life in prison or as little as 2 years. They gave her 10 after they hugged. Prosecutors had requested a 28-year sentence. Botham Jean would have been 28 if he was still alive during the trial. And I'm going to share one more quick story to finish this segment off. This is going to blow your wig all the way back. They're not hearing the trial of the executor of Breonna Taylor until 2022. Let's talk about it. Where is the article? Good Lord. Hold on, family. One more, and then I'm done. I got to race my daughter to track practice. Hold on, family. Give me a second. I can't put my finger directly on it, so I have to get it from, I got to pull it back up. Trial for former officer charged in connection with Breonna Taylor's shooting pushed to 2022. No justice, no freaking peace, y'all. This is, like I said, your midday wake-up call. It's been adjoined to my anti-Black racism segment. The trial for a former Louisville police officer charged in connection with Breonna Taylor's shooting has been pushed back to February 1, 2022, according to a pretrial hearing held in Kentucky's Jefferson County on Friday. Justice Jefferson County Circuit Court Judge Ann Bailey Smith postponed the trial of Brett Hankinson from its original date of August 31st, 2021, saying the new date was the most realistic one that she had because of a backlog of delayed trials due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So justice for Breonna has to be delayed until 2022. The family's justice has to hang in the balance for their executed daughter, auntie, sister. This can't take priority. And yet we just saw them make the Chauvin trial a priority over all their backlog. And Hankinson is free, out on a bond. He bailed out. $15,000 was all his bond was. He gets to walk around free while Breonna is dead. Taylor, a 26-year-old aspiring nurse, was shot and killed by Louisville officers in her own home during a botched police raid in March of 2020. But she's got to wait for justice until 2022. Citing too much publicity around Taylor's case in Louisville, Hankinson attorney Stu Matthews asked, what, family? All together now that the trial is moved to a different location. Isn't this what Chauvin's defense attorney attempted to do? The world knows about this. Where can you go? And why can't you face a jury of your peers right where you executed her in her home? Why should you be able to change venues? I think, quote, I think that there's subliminal pressure, if not direct pressure, on all those people in fear of what could happen should they sit on this jury and should they render a verdict that is not the verdict that a large segment of the population wants. Ain't that about a blip? Matthews said in court Friday. So, Mr. Matthews, what does the large segment of the population want but to allow Hankinson to walk? But to continue benign neglect of Black lives. In lieu of your First Amendment rights, race soldiers, to associate with hate groups that should be deemed domestic terrorists so that you are licensed to execute us in our own communities. After we've been neutralized in terms of income and wealth. The judge declined that request. Thank God for some sense. I do think that the prudent thing to do is to try to get a jury seated here in Jefferson County. And if we discover that we cannot, then we will move the case to another county, Judge Smith said. Why wouldn't you be? They were successful in Minnesota. Why wouldn't you be? Hankinson was indicted last year on 3 counts of wanton endangerment in the first degree in connection with the shooting for allegedly firing blindly through a door and window with bullets entering an adjacent apartment where a pregnant woman, a man, and a child were home, according to the state attorney general. That is all. This ain't even for Breonna Taylor's execution. That Republican coon, Daniel, I can't think of his last name, got no charges for any of the race soldiers that entered that apartment unannounced with a no-knock warrant. But this has got to wait. Even this has got to wait until next year, 2022. The 3 felony accounts are for endangering the people in that neighboring apartment, not for the execution of Breonna. The state attorney general's office said Hankinson pled not guilty to the charges. The other 2 officers who also fired shots during the botched raid were not indicted, meaning no officer was charged with killing Taylor. Let me look at your comments. And now, Brian says, now in the wake of tangibles going to everyone except us, Biden's supporters are quiet as church mice. Of course they are. I know 1111. God bless and protect you, Miss Angela, and send you all the provisions and helpers you need for this battle. Thank you, my love. I receive your love and I return it 1,000,000-fold. Brian says we pay them in tax dollars to not be transparent with the public. Breathe. Nam Yeho Renge Kill. Oh. We need people on both sides, both left and right. Okay, thank you. You're right. Who are outspoken supporters of ADOX. You better know it. Daniel Kuhn Cameron. Thank you, Brian. That was the AG that got all of these officers off free and clear from executing Miss Breonna Taylor in her own home. No justice, no peace. Brian says, delay things a year to hopefully cool down emotions. It won't work since more shooting killings from police will compound the issue. Ooh, one of my brightest co-hosts. Thank you, Brian. He also says, yep, they're cooking up the okie doke for Taylor's case. Not to mention when they asked her on the stand if she administered CPR after shooting John, she said, I gave a little. That's Amber Geiger in response to that. I'm reading backwards. With that said, family, that's my time. I'm at 1:20. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to tune in at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time to Fox Soul's The Black Report. Now, you'll probably see a much more collected version of me because I've got to talk to the 87% who voted for Biden. He's trying to pass an additional $1.8 trillion. That's coming. I'm going to be speaking on this. He's trying to get the Senate to, unask another 1.8 trillion to make for class-based policies which don't fix ADOS while doing nothing specific for us as the bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. I'm going to be talking about that on my segment tomorrow for your midday wake-up call, along with all the other topics I couldn't get to because this turned into an anti-Black racism segment with the breaking news that it's going to be over a month before the family can even see the execution of Mr. Andrew Brown in the Carolinas, in North Carolina. So that was breaking news, and then it led me to Hankerson and Geiger. Like, it just became that whole kind of segment. So I'll pick up on Black Lives Matter and the reparations, and I was putting Biden and Harris in the hot seat. I'm going to talk about the 1.8 trillion tomorrow on your midday wake-up call. With that said, family, know this. I love you Black. I love you strong. You are the face of God, the voice of God, the body temple of the Spirit of the living God that surrounds you, protects you. Keep fighting, family. Keep your pedal to the metal. Keep your foot on the gas. We can't afford to give in, up, or out. Even me starting all over after Facebook disabled me. I'm on my square until my last breath. I hope to see you at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. Spread the word, family. Peace. Thank you.